everyone. It's almost the end of July. It is July 28th, and I've been watching so many cool Reading Rush vlogs this week, and I have not made any because I was traveling. So maybe next year I'll be able to plan a little better and join in. It's been really fun to watch all those vlogs. I was doing TBR, hashtag TBR Tackle, which is a Bookstagram challenge that was going on for July, and I thought I would check in now because I doubt highly that I'm going to finish any more books before the end of the month, and so I just wanted to check in and let you know how I did. There were 10 prompts in this challenge, and I was able to read a total of 5 books, 4 of which were on my challenges and were prompts. So the first challenge was to read a borrowed book, and for that prompt I read How to Love Jamaican by Alexia authors. This was also included in the July selection for the Read Around the World book club run by Mel's Bookland Adventures. I really enjoyed this short story collection. I think Alexia authors is great. She has a lot of potential to be a wonderful writer. I definitely will check out future books that she writes. I think that my favorite story was called Slack, and I think it could have actually been a novel. The story was strong enough and had enough of a depth to it, enough teeth, that it could have definitely been a novel. So I gave this book 4 stars. And for a short story collection, it did have a lot of kind of more essay style formatting in the way the prose was delivered, but I still thought it had a lot of great themes, a lot of great potential, and this is a debut, I believe, so I think Alexia authors will go far. It's a great story. A book with a one-word title. For that one, I chose Badlands, and I'm not going to talk at any length about this book because I've done a full review on it, which I will link down below. I am including this one also in some of the other prompts because I didn't get to all of the books that I had chosen, so I will also include this as a book by a male author, and I think that is, yeah, so this ended up fitting 2 prompts on the challenge. The next one was a 5-star prediction, and for that one I read Emily Climbs by L.M. Montgomery. It was also a sequel, which is a challenge in this, so I read it as a sequel and as a 5-star prediction, and it was 5 stars. It's a beautiful story. The Emily character is so very gritty, and she's kind of mystical, but she's also got that kind of charm that Anne of Green Gables has, and so I would definitely recommend the Emily books if you enjoyed Anne of Green Gables books. The 2019 release, unfortunately I did not get to this one, but I am going to start it tonight, so I will have 3 or 4 days left of the month to read this one, so obviously I will not get it done before the end of the month, but this is Crow by Amy Spurway. She is a Canadian author, and this is her debut novel, so I will read it. I just didn't get it read in the parameter of the month of July. A TBR veteran, I did not get to that one. I'm going to pick it up from the library this week, and that is Earth Democracy by Vandana and Shiva. I will still read it. I just didn't get to it this month. Color in the title, I read Through Black Spruce by Joseph Boyden, which I did on audio, and that book was so beautiful. I loved almost everything about it. It was 5 stars for me. The narration was done wonderfully. The bouncing back and forth in perspectives was done wonderfully. The glimpse into the lives of 2 people and their challenges was done with a lot of sympathy and a lot of real dedication to trying to make the characters as realistic as possible, and I found that to be very compelling. It was such a stunning story, and it actually contrasted with the plot in Odori by Darcy Tamayose, which was the next prompt that I read, which is a debut novel. they were both had a character that was in a coma, but they tackled it in a very different way. So I kind of liked the overlap and being able to read something from a different perspective. So yeah, I also gave Odori 5 stars. This is an kind of multi-generational saga in a very short format, and it was told very poetically. There's some beautiful prose in this writing. I was surprised to read that Darcy Tamayose has only written 2 novels, this one and a young adult novel, because to me, her writing, I would love to read more of her work. This book covers the Ryukyu Islands, which are between Japan and China, and they were kind of subject to one nation over the other over hundreds of years, thousands of years of conquering. And Odori refers to dance in Japanese, and so it's a very complex and layered story, but basically Mai is in a coma. She was in a car accident with her husband who was killed. That happens right at the beginning. And then you are in her head as she is in her coma, and you follow along as her grandmother, who is a Kataribe, which is the name for a storyteller in Japanese, is telling her of the history of her family. And she tells it in story format. She begins with the very famous princess that they are descended from, which is kind of told in a more mystical and fairy tale way. And then you get into the actual lives of her grandmother and grandfather, her mother and her mother's sister, as they are born in Alberta and then sent back to Okinawa to live with their grandparents because their mother is not able to take care of them and their father is not able to take care of them either. And you learn about the love that the characters have for both these beautiful islands that they live on, which are more tropical, and also the rolling hills of Alberta. There are many, many beautiful passages. I probably could give this book its own separate review. I don't know if I will have time for that though. So I would love to chat with any of you who are interested in this book and answer any questions you may have about it in future. I think it is a wonderful story, and I really compared it a lot in my mind when I was reading it to Kintu. And the reason I compared them is because they both have this wonderful family kind of mystical curse / destinies that are played out throughout the family, and the repetition of different themes that happen to each generation. And also it very much highlights a culture that I didn't know anything about. The other really great thing about this book is that it has a segment of it that is told from a World War II perspective, because obviously World War II came to Japan and parts of Japan, and you learn about the people living on this island and how they were not Japanese citizens, but they were caught in the crossfire between Japan and the United States as the United States invaded the island and tried to defeat the Japanese during World War II. And I always enjoy reading a different perspective about World War II, something that I did not know, something that enlightens me as to more layered, complex stories from that time period. And so this has a section that is about that time period, because Mai's mother, Emiko, and her sister lived through that time and are coming of age in that time. And so there are some really hard things to read in here, some kind of graphic details about the situation for people living under this war and the tyranny of war. And I would also say the same for Through Black Spruce. There's some violent passages in there, and there's also a lot of descriptions of hunting and First Nations traditional ways of collecting their food. And so if you are a bit uncomfortable reading about hunting or animals being killed or things like that, Through Black Spruce might be a bit hard for you to take. So the other book that I ended up reading in July was the audiobook of Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, with my family in the car as we were on a road trip. So I didn't get to all the books I had planned to read. There are three books, including Crow, that I didn't get to that were on my TBR, and I am going to plan to read them in August and carry them over. But overall, I'm happy that I got the reading done that I did, and I actually am really pleased that the books that I read were so great and had a lot in them that I could really get into. So I ended up having 3 5-star reads out of those books, and I think that's a pretty good average. So that was my hashtag TBR tackle for July. They're a great little channel on Bookstagram if you're interested in following them. Their handle is TBR Tackle, and they are doing a different challenge for August. They have romantic comedy books and mystery books, I believe. So if you're into those things and you'd like a fun challenge to do on Bookstagram over the month of August, check them out. And I will be back again soon with another video. Thanks for watching.